Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay. Well, looks like we already missed a good thing to go here. It's a little irritating. Sorry about that. Thank you. All right, here we go. What is that you have marked? Where? Here? In the... This is an inefficiency. What is that you have marked? Where? That seems to be... All right, can you guys still hear me, or are we still having issues? Because this is it's gonna be irritating. If not, I'm not sure why it's being like that. We can hear you. Okay. Can you see everything clear? Audio is okay. All okay. Okay, well, I guess I'll proceed. Anyways, essentially this was right at 9:30. Could have taken along here. See the respect of that inversion. To the inefficiency, ideally. On the 15-minute chart, this is what I was looking at. So you'll see that. You go find it. It's from May 12th. It's going to be at 10:30. ES took that low. So what's going to be more ideal? I don't even know. I won't take anything, probably. I'll just read for now. Yeah, I can tell it's kind of cutting out as well. I don't want it to cut out. You want to put this PD array on your charts. Okay. Yeah, as long as you can hear what I'm saying, I'll continue on, but I'm not sure why. This is my first day back on the desktop. I didn't even test anything out. I literally just hopped on here, probably. That's the reason. Alright, so why do I say the 600s ideally? Because look at where we are relative to all of this from here to there. So that's going to be your stop hunt there. So simply that to there. That's what I'm looking for ideally. Please take it seriously. It's very frustrating your live stream lagging so much now. Okay. Well, I'm new to streaming to begin with, so this would be my first technical difficulty, so I'd have to literally do some research to figure that out as to why. Because there are specific settings you can have for streams that enhance it for the viewer, obviously. So it's 8:43. We got a pretty good price run already here. Obviously, that's well over 400 points. So on a day like today, you kind of want to be a little bit more patient. As I state always, the concepts are still the same regardless of the size of the range. The size, it doesn't matter how, unless you're getting something like manual intervention or news you can't really control, like war or something like that. It's all relatively the same. If this stays open, then you know it's going to go down here. By the way. So it's pretty... These stay open. Let me put this on here because some people, in case the audio goes out. Cause reason to go up or down. Sorry, my brain is a little off right now. Same reason inefficiencies cause price to go down or up. Yes. All right. I'm trying to make sure everything else is good. Can you explain why that is an inefficiency above 930? If you want to know why the 930 candle first presentation is sometimes that, you need to go watch ICT's new video. He explains that in depth a little bit more. Essentially, it's when you open up at those equal lows or highs that he was stating. I suggest going back to that video. So right now you're just watching. There's no reason to take a trade. Requires a little bit of patience. But we've already closed below the first presentation, so let me see something. This is going to be pretty important right here. So we're going to see. I like that we stopped short of it in here, but we have these equal lows down here as well. Let me see. What is ES doing? So an ideal situation here, if it wants to get here, it's going to be... These are things that I plan out ahead of time, before. Is the higher gray inefficiency the opening range gap CE? Interesting that higher gray is also CE of the two in no. So, as I've stated before, everything that ICT teaches is literally a language built off of what's actually going on behind the scenes. So everything that I look at aligns with all of the language that's out there. It's easier for me to just look at two things, which are simply liquidity and the inefficiency, precisely, because I don't feel like having all of that stuff on my charts. So, but that's just me personally, you know. But you need to keep your charts organized either way. It's something. Your charts need to be organized. That's why I don't have, when I first put out my framework, I don't have but 3 or 4 things max on my charts that I'm simply watching. Like, I've already watched this. And the fact that this is tied to, this right here is tied to this inefficiency doesn't mean it has to go all the way back up here, because it's already a part of there. Now, if we take the regular time hours, which you mark, 9:30 or 9:30? 9:33 candle. So let's see, we have the close, and then we have the, 1 second, open. So that is going to align with that. So you can actually put that on your chart too. That's not something I looked at prior to the day opening. Let's bold that. Guys, you can simply base your model off that alone. If you want 70% of the time, it's going to go back here anyways, 50%. Now let me put regular time hours back on it. Why wick you mark 9:30 or 9:31 candles, sir? I think they're wondering where you get your inefficiencies from and logic behind them. Yeah, I'm aware of why. That's not something I'll go in depth on, because that's what's going on behind the scenes and things that you can't see. It's not meant for me to cover. But you can use the language. Opening range gap, 50% aligns with it. So use the language. Trust me. So the macros here. Watching that closely. See how we can't get a close above? I still think it gets back above here and still reaches here. What things did you do to learn source code? I'll put in work. I just want to be nudged. It's a good question. There's some questions that I haven't figured out how to answer. Truly. That's why live streaming was a hard thing for me to even start. Because I look at things directly. But time, then price, about time. Go listen to the video that I put out today and just think about it. Look at this. Look at the respect. I hate when it does that. Guys, when you're in a, okay, think about this range from here to here also. This is good, a good study. Relative to this range here, where would you want to be a buyer at for a long to a premium inefficiency or buy side? You want your entries to be mostly in here. I say this all the time. Why would you short here? I mean, on a higher, you have to understand two things. I'll just stay in it. Sorry, I was reading this. You have to understand two things. From a higher time frame perspective, like I showed you guys earlier, we are in a premium. So, on a 1 minute chart, it looks like we're going to go higher, but we're only going higher to go lower until we reach the discount of that hourly range. Same applies to 15 minutes, same applies to hourly. It's all fractal, right? So you can take this range to this range. You want most of your entries to be in the lower portion here. That's going to be the most ideal thing. So for me, I'd like a little more confirmation here. And me personally, like you can, if you want to be an early buyer here, you can absolutely be that. But me personally, I probably would have taken a simple small scalp from here to there. That's over 120 points, and that's enough for me to end my day. I don't need 500 points. I don't need my goal. What I would like to do is to get in and get out of the markets, but you have to put in the time first to be able to do that. So I spend hours watching the screen to understand what's happening. That way, at any point, any time of the day, I can go in there, get what I want, say thank you, and go on about my day. As long as I'm being patient, waiting for my setups and what I look for, and the signatures more precisely, that's all I need. I don't need anything else. And honestly, I missed something here. There's a volume imbalance there to it, so that's my fault. But you got to put in the work. You cannot top screen time. You need experience, and that's why a lot of people don't get to where they want to. They're not putting in the screen time. You need to know what you're looking at. I agree, but you also need to realize that you need experience, because over time you're going to see things repeat over and over and over again. So if you study what this manipulation macro did, kind of consolidated a little bit, but took out these equal lows here. So it did take out a piece of liquidity, hence why we traded higher. Always use that logic. So first things first, I already have, there's two things that you can look for right at the open. Okay. So where are we at, or actually three things. Where are we at relative to discount and premium? At 850, the manipulation macro that I mentioned, what happens? Did we take out liquidity? Did we consolidate? This is more of a consolidation, I guess, but we're in a discount, so you should still expect higher pricing. If you don't want to get in long, why don't you wait until we reach a premium price to short? That's why I say you can literally get your piece of the pie however you want. It is literally up to you. It's now 10 o'clock, so I'll just stay in the chat. Can some of you guys mention who you are in the Telegram? I'm kind of curious. So the Contrarian, I know Dylan Rayleigh, I know that you joined recently. Canner, Burker, I'm not sure if Sharuk is in there. And yeah, I'm kind of curious to hear. Trying to put a name with these people in the chat. We good, boss. Jay the okay. Thank you for that. Also, guys, as you can see, this is something important. This is one of the most things that people cannot wait for. No energy, no trade. Simple. There's no displacement in here whatsoever. I prefer, if I saw displacement off of here, I'm in there to here. So now you might get your displacement a little bit higher now, but I'm just stating that's things I look at. So if we close above this, you're gonna see. Should open up. I still think we should close above this and then go higher, but it's Mohawks. Look at these Mohawks. Okay, SMT with ES on 1 hour means in the long run, NQ wants to go lower. No, so this is really strange to me because ES, if you've been watching ES has been stronger all week, right? And the fact that it came here before NQ did tells me that, well, here's the weaker one, technically speaking. So I found that pretty interesting, but NQ would be classified stronger in that scenario. You want to short the weaker one if you're going to short it. What just happened? Oh. But if there's SMT down there with those highs, those lows specifically, that is an indicator to me that, you know, there's room to go higher first before we go lower. That's why this was your low down here. What's happening? Look at that. Look at this respect to the midpoint there. After we close above it. So, what is that? Can anyone answer that question? Please. I'm curious. I turn fear into anticipation and greed into patience. Making long-term plans like retiring at the age of 40. Set rules and follow them. That's correct. I'm reading these. I love the insights of other people because you can all see what, how easy is it to follow rules that you set for yourself when no one's watching? That's the real question. So you want to see that? Close below this, it could go lower, but you want to see respect to this to push it higher. You don't want that to be SMT if you want that to go there. So that needs to be respected. Yeah, I agree. When you get tired of losing enough, you learn to follow rules. That's why I'm glad that I learned what I did, or discovered what I did, because it allows me to create a system where I only look for specific things and I don't enter outside of those specific things. And that has been a very hard thing to do, truthfully. Still need to monitor that on ES right there. It's respecting the midpoint. There's my belief to start mastering that. Took me a while to get there. Now I have to watch that. The thing is so the macro has ended. This is going to be your silver bullet. I still think it gets here. And that's going to be your breakaway. So I'll tell you guys, I am not an entry or exit place. So you make your own decisions. Far away off from that midpoint. $9.30 to 10 overlaps with your target. 9. Interesting, if you draw fib on 9.30 to 10 opening range, 0.5 fib overlaps with your target. Yeah. I don't use any of those things outside of what's actually happening. But like I said, all of the language aligns with what's on my charts. All these PD arrays that I've shown you are simply for you. I try to avoid as much of the lipstick as I can because it helps me keep my charts cleaner. But I've left this on here for you guys to understand what do I look for when it comes to the PD arrays. That's why I always find it interesting that how can somebody what it took to create a language for this is, it blows my mind because it's like, wow, that is a lot. That is a lot. If that stays open, you just make note of that. It's not that hard. So you want to know, where could you have entered at? Okay, well, I know that's something a lot of people want to kind of know. So I see 3 points of entry as of now. So obviously this inversion being first after 9:30 open. Yes, that's advanced, but you can still take it. So there's one. Here's two. And your stop's going to be below there. Because you don't want to see it come back into that lower half. Your third one being here. So there's 3 adds there. And then you don't want to add in this upper portion anymore. Anyways, those are the places I saw as adds. I kind of saw this as I was trying to get the stream open, but it kind of sucked that I missed it. And I would have at least taken partials off here. But that's well over, as I've stated, that's over 100 points. So it's, you have enough there. If you aim for 20 points, that's 5 times over that. But it all depends on your risk. I just want precise entries with little to no risk. So if I entered here, stop's going to be probably here. If I entered here, my stop's going to be here. If I entered here, my stop's going to be here.